Nutrition Science Introduction to Energy Balance. The first person to cross the land mass of Antarctica solo, unassisted, and without any resupply shipments. Others had crossed the continent with the help of a wind sail to propel them over the ice, or with resupply drops along the way, both ways of saving precious energy. But O'Brady completed the 926-mile trek only on skis, pulling a sled packed with food, fuel, and supplies the entire way. Speed was important because he was racing another man, Lewis Rudd, a 49-year-old British Army captain. And of course, he didn't want to run out of food hundreds of miles from the finish. Rudd finished the Antarctica crossing just 2 days after O'Brady. To prepare for the expedition, O'Brady and his team had to make careful calculations to estimate his nutrient and caloric needs. He'd be skiing all day, every day for about 2 months, in below zero temperatures and against constant wind. O'Brady estimated that he'd burn about 10,000 calories per day on his journey, and he knew that if he didn't pack enough food, he wouldn't have the strength to compete this epic test of endurance in extreme conditions. Previous explorers died in the Antarctic because they didn't pack enough food. O'Brady also knew that the more food he packed, the heavier his sled would be, ironically making him burn more calories, thus slowing him down and prolonging his trip. So he focused on making his food calorie and nutrient dense but lightweight. Oatmeal with added oil and protein powder, freeze-dried dinners reconstituted with melted snow, and 4,500 calorie slabs of custom-made Colin bar made from coconut oil, nuts, seeds, and dried fruit. At the start of his journey, O'Brady's sled weighed 375 pounds and contained enough food to provide him with 8,000 calories per day. That was a bit short of the 10,000 calories he'd estimated he'd burn every day. So to build up some additional energy stores, he gained 15 pounds prior to his trip. In the end, after 54 days of skiing through ice and snow, he lost 25 pounds during his Antarctic crossing. He was successful, and while his fitness level and determination surely played a part, the trip would have been impossible without an adequate supply of calories. In our daily lives, we need far fewer calories than an Arctic explorer, and we don't need to schlep a 2-month supply of food on our backs wherever we go. And thankfully, we get to enjoy fresher and more interesting food options too. But each of us, every day, whether we're aware of it or not, is attempting to balance the calories we consume with the calories we burn, just like Colin O'Brady. This is the concept of energy balance, one we'll be exploring throughout this unit. If adults eat roughly the same number of calories as they burn each day, their body weight will generally stay very constant. If they burn more calories than they eat, like O'Brady was on his expedition, they'll lose weight. If they consume more calories than they burn, they'll gain weight. Energy balance may seem like a simple concept, but in practice, how many calories a person eats and expends each day is influenced by so many different factors that it can be frustratingly difficult to apply. Still, it's a vitally important concept to understand. We live in a world where food is easily available, and we're constantly bombarded with marketing messages telling us to eat more of it. Not surprisingly, the prevalence of obesity is rising around the globe, and the health effects of carrying too much weight are a concern at both the population and personal levels. On the other hand, being underweight or overly focused on body weight also carries health risks. In this unit, we'll explore these concepts and concerns. Energy balance, energy in, energy out, yet not as simple as it seems. The concept of energy balance seems simple on paper. Balance the calories you consume with the calories you expend, but many factors play a role in energy intake and energy expenditure. Some of these factors are under our control and others are not. In this section, we will define energy balance, look at the different components of energy expenditure, and discuss the factors that influence energy expenditure. We'll also consider some of the factors that affect energy intake and consider why energy balance is more complex than it seems. Energy balance. Our body weight is influenced by our energy intake, calories we consume, and our energy output, energy we expend during rest and physical activity. This relationship is defined by the energy balance equation. Energy balance equals energy intake minus energy expenditure. When an individual is in energy balance, energy intake equals energy expenditure, and the weight should remain stable. Positive energy balance occurs when energy intake is greater than energy expenditure, usually resulting in weight gain. Negative energy balance is when energy intake is less than energy expenditure, usually resulting in weight loss. Energy intake is made up of the calories we consume from food and beverages. These calories come from the macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and alcohol. Remember that when the body has a surplus of energy, this energy can be stored as fat. In theory, if you consume 3,500 more calories than your body needs, you could potentially gain about 1 pound because a pound of fat is equal to about 3,500 calories. If you expend 3,500 more calories than you take in, you could potentially lose about a pound as your body turns to this stored energy to compensate for the energy deficit. However, in practice, how individuals respond to an excess or deficit of 3,500 calories can be quite variable, and over time, the body adapts to these conditions and resists changes in body weight. Energy balance is complex, dynamic, and variable between individuals, something we'll explore a bit more later on this page. But it is still a vital concept in understanding body weight. Next, let's look at the energy expenditure side of the energy balance equation to see the components that make up energy expenditure and the factors that influence them. Components of energy expenditure. The sum of caloric expenditure is referred to as total energy expenditure. There are 3 main components of total energy expenditure. 1, basal metabolic rate. 2, thermic effect of food. 4, physical activity.